A truly horrible and unusual accident. Nassau County police say a 61-year-old man was magnetically pulled into an MRI Wednesday while wearing a large metal chain.
I saw the machine snatch him around and pull him into the machine. He went limp in my arm. He waved goodbye to me, and then his whole body went limp. At that instant, the machine switched him around, pulled him in, and he hit the MRI. I'm barely eating. I just can't believe. I still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing. Snatched him around and pulled him into the machine. He died. He lost.
This is like something out of a Final Destination movie, but it happened in real life. It all went down this past Wednesday afternoon at 4:30 when 911 gets a call for an emergency at Nassau Open MRI in Westbury, New York. 61-year-old Keith McAllister had brought his wife Adrienne in for an MRI of her knee. Here's where the story starts to differ. Adrienne says the technician brought Keith into the room so that he could help her get out of the machine. The employees say Adrienne started to shout out for help, which caused Keith to come running into the room. Employees say they were telling him not to open the door because the machine was in use, but he entered regardless. Either way, when Keith McAllister opened the door, the MRI machine started reacting to the 20-pound chain around his neck. The machine started pulling Keith into the machine, choking him. The chain had a large lock on the end, so they weren't able to get it off. And the technician and Adrienne tried pulling him away from the machine, but they were unable. Adrienne says her husband waved goodbye, and his body went limp in her arms. Keith was then transferred to a local hospital but died the next day after succumbing to his injuries.
A man has just died after being sucked into an MRI machine at Nassau Open MRI. This happened 2 days ago, and he's been in critical condition, but he just passed away from his injuries. So he was wearing a large metal chain around his neck, and he was there with someone else, and he was told by a tech not to go in the room. And at first, when I started researching this, I thought, survival of the fittest. You were told not to go in there for a reason, you know? But what's not being widely reported is that he allegedly went in there because he heard his relative who was having the scan screaming, and he went in to help. So this is just absolutely awful and completely avoidable.
A 61-year-old man got sucked into an MRI machine because of a gold chain necklace that he had on. I almost want to say new fear unlocked. This picture is just another example of a time when there was like a malfunction and a nurse actually got hurt because all of this was sucked into the machine as well. But this apparently happened at Open MRI in Nassau. The 61-year-old showed up, and I'm guessing he was there for a procedure. He walked into the room and he was instantly sucked in. He had on a chunky, like, gold metal necklace, authorities said. And there was already a scan going on. So the magnetic resonance was already activated when this 61-year-old walked in the room and he was sucked into the machine. Authorities are saying the man suffered a medical episode after being pulled forcibly out of the machine. I can't even imagine what that looks like or what happened, and they're not disclosing that right now. But another medical professional has commented on this, saying, if this was a chain that was wrapped around the neck, I could imagine any kind of strangulation injuries that could happen, asphyxiation, cervical spine injuries if the patient was slammed against the MRI. You know, any kind of blunt force trauma that we can think about that could happen. The man is currently in critical condition.
Guys, you won't believe what just happened. This story is heartbreaking. A man went for an MRI and didn't come out alive. And the reason why? A chain necklace. Yes, just a necklace. Let me tell you exactly what happened and why this should scare all of us. Let's kindly watch these clips. All credit to the owners. We come back with more commentary.
A freak MRI accident has left a 61-year-old in critical condition. Nassau County police say a Long Island man walked into an unauthorized area during a scan here at Nassau Open MRI in Westbury. And he was wearing a large metal chain necklace and was drawn magnetically into the machine. Experts say something like this shouldn't have happened. Strict and rigid safety protocols need to be in place to make sure no metal gets near an MRI machine. Police are still investigating, but do say they do not suspect any criminality. The facility had no comment.
A man who was pulled into an MRI machine in New York has died. Police say the 61-year-old was wearing a metallic necklace when he walked into a room where a scan was underway. That's when the machine's strong magnetic force attracted the chain. Police say he had entered the room without authorization. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition after the incident and died the next day. Experts say an MRI's magnetic force is strong enough to fling a wheelchair across a room.
Man gets sucked into MRI machine, but now there's a twist. So I've seen videos, as you probably have, of a man in New York who was pulled into an MRI machine because of a strong magnetic field that interacted with a necklace that he had around his neck. Apparently he was tending to his wife who was having an MRI on her knee. But now I'm hearing that this necklace was in fact a 20-pound chain with a padlock. And my first thought was, is this a bike chain? But when I looked at the New York Post today, I'm looking at the article right now online, they're stating that this 20-pound neck chain was actually used for his weight training. And I said, what? I've heard of weighted vests. I know there are harnesses with chains that go around the head that people use to strengthen their neck muscles, but I've never heard of a 20-pound chain that someone would wear around their neck as they went about their daily activities. So is the New York Post just getting this wrong and not understanding what this man was wearing, or is there something I'm missing? I've seen a lot of things in the exercise world, but I've never heard of a 20-pound neck chain with padlock that people wear around their neck all day long. Can someone leave a comment below and let me know, is this a thing in the exercise world? I'm genuinely curious. I could say more, but I know this is a delicate situation, but I'm just looking for clarification.
Keith McAllister, 61 years old, went to get an MRI scan. That's a big machine that uses magnets to look inside your body. But here is the thing, magnets and metal don't mix. They don't mix. He was wearing a chain around his neck, and when the MRI machine turned on, it started pulling the chain into the machine because the magnet is super strong. The chain was so locked on tight, he couldn't take it off. It started shocking him. He was rushed to the hospital, but sadly, he died the next day. That's horrible.
I'm sorry. There's stupidity, and then there's this bullshit, okay? Man dies after weight training chain around neck pulls him into an MRI machine. Keith McAllister had approached the machine after his wife called him for help and was sucked in by the device's magnetic force. Magnets don't agree with metal. Well, they do actually. They agree with them quite well. In fact, they fucking attract them to it. Let's see what kind of chain he had round his neck, shall we? So his wife, Adrienne, told the local outlet News 12 Long Island that an MRI machine there was scanning her knee when she called out to her husband, "Keith, come help me, baby," from the table. The technician operating the machine, which looks like a long narrow tube with openings on each end, then allowed Keith to walk in while he wore a 20-pound, a 9 kg metal chain he used for weight training. Why did you have a metal chain, why did you have a 9 kg weight around your neck in a hospital waiting for you just sitting there? I don't know. Fuck me. Police in Nassau County, New York said Keith was then sucked into the device by its potent magnetic force. Yeah, no shit. He endured a medical episode at that point, which left him in a critical condition at a hospital, and he was pronounced dead a day later, police said. I think I saw a clip from the actual, what happened. He's like, get the motherfucker off me. Adrienne told News 12 that her late husband had suffered several heart attacks after the incident with the MRI machine and before his death. She recalled through tears seeing the machine snatch him and pull him into the machine. She said she implored for the clinic to call for an emergency help. Turn this damn thing off. Yeah, you are to blame. You're to blame, wife, right? You didn't need him to come and pick you up off the machine. And also, he's at fault for walking into a room with a piece of metal on his neck that has a fucking MRI machine in it. What are they teaching you in schools? What are they actually teaching you out there? And people are going to be like, I'm sorry. No. Duh, you can't have it. Like, this is just, you could tell a toddler to do better. Fuck me. What's she gonna try and, is she gonna try and sue? Out there, they love suing. She's probably gonna try and sue for this.
This should have never happened. MRI techs are trained to tell people to remove all metal, jewelries, watches, even hairpins. That magnet can pull even tiny metal objects. So how was this missed? Did no one warn him? Did they check, or maybe he didn't know the risk? Either way, this man died from something preventable. That's the part that hurts the most. This was preventable. Now, some of you might say, well, I don't get MRIs. But that's not the point. The point is, this could happen to anyone. Your mom, your dad, and your friend. All it takes is one mistake. Yeah. Hospitals are supposed to keep people safe. That's their job. And when they fail, it costs lives. Oh my God, this is insane. So if you or someone you love ever goes in for an MRI, double check everything. No metal, no chains, no earrings, nothing magnetic. It could literally save a life. A lot of people online are asking, who is to blame? Is it the hospital? The MRI technician? Did the Keith not know? Honestly, we don't know all the details yet, but we do know this. When you go to a medical facility, you trust them with your life. And if a man dies because something so basic, a necklace, just a necklace, then someone messed up big time. Yeah, this could turn into a lawsuit, and honestly, it should. Keith's family deserves answers. People on TikTok, Twitter, everywhere are shocked. Some are sad, some are angry. Many are saying this was medical negligence. Others are just saying, how can a necklace take a man's life? How? This story is going viral, and it should, because it's a lesson for all of us. Awareness can save lives. I'm honestly heartbroken. Imagine going for a scan and never coming home, all because of a necklace. I really feel for his family. They must be going through so much pain right now. And to be real, this should never happen again. Hospitals have to do better. Staff must check patients properly. People need to be told about the dangers. One chain should never lead to death. Rest in peace, Keith McAllister. You didn't deserve this. To everyone watching, please share this video to spread awareness. You could save a life. And if you have ever had an MRI, tell me your experience in the comments. Let's talk. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the love and support. I really appreciate. May God bless you. I love you so much, guys. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.